G'day guys and welcome back to the Starswift Chronicles. My name is Michael from Ask a Pathfinder, and with me together is the illustrious crew of the Starswift, led by the ever-talented and effervescent Ulrich Keen, played by Master Guy from How to Be a Great Game Master.
Hello, I'll go and find a glass of water to dissolve myself in quickly.
Of course, playing his rather mischievous and puckish brother, Elias Keen, is none other than Josh. G'day, Josh!
Good day, folks. A pleasure to meet you.
And of course, deep within the bowels of the Starswift, the multi-talented, multi-handed, fuzzy ball of love, Dolyug, the ship's Furblin engineer.
Oi, how y'all doing?
Played by Sebastian. And of course, manning the helm of the mighty ship is, of course, none other than the land-sick, I guess is the best way to say it, Bastian Fell, played by Bon. G'day, Bon.
Hey, guys. Hello.
All right, so without any further ado, when last we left our adventurers, they were aboard the Della Milani, an abandoned mining ship that they had been hired to go and investigate. After having lost communications and no contact being made, its fate was, up until this point, left quite the mystery. However, after bringing the Starswift close to its last known location, they have found not only a transient survivor who had escaped on a small makeshift pod by the name of Trax the Goblin, but they had also found the ship itself on an asteroid made of blood lithelium. Blood lithelium being a highly volatile fuel that, could possibly be used to increase the fuel stores of the Braxian fleet for hundreds of years. Now, upon arriving, they found that things were definitely not as they seemed. The asteroid was far less abandoned than they probably liked, with zombified, mindless but not mindless versions of the miners that almost immediately began to strike out and attack the crew when they had arrived. Mysteriously, though, it didn't seem as though they were zombies or the undead. Instead, they managed to discover that these threads had been dug into the base of their cranium and had been attached to these fungus that had been grown throughout the network of corridors and tunnels existing in the asteroid. The crew now find themselves on the Della Milani, with Bastian and Ulrich making their way steadily towards the bridge, while Elias and Dolyug head to engineering in order to try and bring to life the Della Milani, so that maybe they can learn more about what really happened here. Now, when last we left, Elias had found in the engineering room a pearlescent egg that had cracked open, and he was leaning in for an examination. Elias, as you approach this egg and peer into its open crevice, could I get you to make me a perception check, please?
Yes, I would love to make a perception check. That is a 24.
Ooh, very nice.
Very well. As you lean in, make a reflex save.
Gosh. 6!
You hear a loud crash sound from behind as Dolyug accidentally knocks over a small tool chest. You jump back reflexively.
Dolyug!
Whoopsie daisy.
Are you trying to kill me?
I haven't used these fingers in a while.
What does that even mean? I am looking in this egg. No more anticlimactic interruptions, okay?
As you peer into the egg, you find that the sack is empty, but there was definitely something of quite a sizable girth inside. Bulbous kind of indentation on the inside, leading up to what has appeared to be a narrow crevice. So something inside squeezed out as opposed to burst forth, if that makes sense.
Captain?
Yes, Mr. King.
All right, so I can tell that something of a significant girth, very bulbous, squeezed its way out of this thing. And I really want to, make sure you understand that. There's it's girth to it. It's very, very large. But it's not here anymore. But we found the egg, and we're going to get back to work. Hopefully, this thing, it's not like a exchanged home, like some sort of astral dragon or whatnot. We're going to get started working on it, but so far, nothing here.
Right. And no indication that it's damaged the ship in any way? Have you looked around the egg? How did it get out of the egg? You say it squeezed its way out. Where did it go?
I can't tell you. My eyes aren't trained enough for this. But I don't think it's here. At least as far as I can tell.
Right. All right. Mr. Daliag, have you, Mr. Zagutu, I should say, have you managed to find the engine source and ignite our engines? Have we got power coming up anytime soon?
Daliak looks in front of him and he can see the large engine. The core itself is still active and swirling. However, it seems as though that there's been some signs of sabotage. You see that there are wires that have simply been removed from particular sockets, but enough to still maintain the core at its temperature, but not enough to obviously power the system. It should be a simple matter of reattaching a bunch of the conduits and just simply hitting the reboot button, and everything should be operational, as far as you're aware.
Looks like that goblin tried to fix this ship. I'll just take a moment.
All right, so Daliag makes his way over to the engine block, and can you make me an engineering check as you begin your work?
Alrighty.
He's going to get distracted real quick because I'm going to yell at him. That's not fair! How come he tells you the stupid name and he can't even get? And I'm just going to storm off. I'm extremely frustrated.
Very well. What was the engineering check?
Got a 17.
All right. With the 17, it is very easy for you to do this. It will just take a matter of time. Meanwhile, further into the center of the ship, traversing its various corridors and passageways is, of course, Bastian and Ulrich. On your left, as you begin to make your way up a flight of stairs towards the bridge, you can see is the medical center. You see that the door appears to have suffered some damage, as if someone had tried to pry open the door from one side, but hadn't managed to get through. There's lots of scratch marks and dentations that indicate that there was some kind of struggle.
What do you make of this, Mr. Fell?
Well, Captain, it seems like whatever they were fighting against definitely won. And I don't know if they got to the med bay. Wait, does it look like they got to the med bay or not?
It's hard to say from this side. What seems to have happened, could you roll me let's go with a culture check. This is just general knowledge about the way things are in particular models of ships and stuff like that. If you've got profession in shipbuilding or anything like that, I'll also allow you to roll that if you have an alternative.
My culture check is going to be 23.
23. All right. So with a 23, you know that all ships as a base standard across varying cultures have a basically fear of pathogens. One of the things the goblins were very insistent of is that in the event of any kind of pathogen, the medical center is able to go into what is called a quarantine lockdown. The quarantine lockdown is then only broken by one of the colony ships back on in Braxia. It is incredibly difficult to override and would need a command key access code in order to override it in case of misfire.
So in terms of the ship, would I know where that would be held, or?
Probably the captain himself had the code. In the event of an emergency, the captain is also given a manifest to pass on in case he is unable to serve. So like sort of a hand-down notice or a notebook. Chances are it could be in his quarters, could be on the bridge, could be in a whole bunch of different places.
You say that the door was breached.
No,
So it was.
it looks
was
as though
partially
someone is. It looks at, yeah,
scratched at.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Someone tried to breach it.
correct.
Well, Captain, with what I know of these ships, it seems that if something were to happen, the med bay is the place to be. So if we want to have more information on what's happening, the captain would have the code or a way to get into this area. If need be, we can go check out where the quarters are and hopefully find something there, or we can keep heading towards the bridge.
I think our priority is still to get to the bridge. Once we're there, we'll be able to assess the entire ship, hopefully with internal sensors. And then we'll be able to determine if there is anybody inside there or if it was just a trigger from an accident or something along those lines, I think.
Okay, all right. Well, I'm going to try something real quick. I'm just going to knock on the door. I'm just going to do the, 3 taps on the door and see if I get a response.
Very well. Tapping on the door. You hear an echo that sort of goes through. Roll a perception check as you attempt to sort of listen for a response.
Can I roll as well? I'm also trying to listen.
Yep. Absolutely. 100%.
Captain, you first.
My perception check is 15.
Mm-hmm.
All right. I'm sorry, Captain. I got a 25.
Fake this
Well,
out.
Well, between the two of you, the captain, as you listen into the door, you can kind of hear the sounds of something moving, like something sort of like struggling, almost like it's like how to describe it? Like, that sensation of like Velcro being pulled apart and put back together. You can kind of hear that sort of sound, that sort of coming from within. Bastion, with you also hear this, but you can also hear labored breathing that seems to be coming in. It's very soft and very very docile, but that's what you could hear on the other side, just underneath that noise.
Okay. Well, there's something definitely inside there. I think for now, let's keep going heading to the bridge.
Agreed. There was no verbal response, so either someone who's bound and gagged or it's something that cannot respond. So let's see. All right, to the bridge.
Very well. The captain, making his way towards the bridge, arrives with Bastion, arrives at the large portcullis to the next area. There is no power yet, as Doliag is still working on it. However, you both can make me a engineering check in order to, or either or can make me an engineering check to identify where the manual locking mechanism is.
Yeah,
Well, let's see what
I'm
we
not
get.
an engineer. That's why I have Mr. Zagutu.
I fly things. Well, all right, then. I got a 6.
All right, with a 6, you'll have to sadly wait until Mr. Zagutu is done with the electricity, which takes about all of 10 minutes before the power turns on. As the lights begin to flicker to life, as Doliag, you get this roaring sense of achievement, having brought an entire ship back to life. Doliag, could you make me a perception check, please?
All right. That would be terrible. Terrible. 8.
8. Well, with an 8, you do notice that's perfectly fine. As you sort of start to cheer and stuff like that, you look around and you realize that you're actually all alone.
Oh, well.
And
That's not a good sign.
No one got to see your achievement. You danced a little harder.
All right.
Do it.
I've cooled off. I've gotten over it. It's just, I try.
Oh, no. Excuse me. I will tell you where you are. Thank you. Oh, no. I'm not letting one of my players wander off alone and nothing happen. That's not how this works.
Just off into the darkness. No worries. Nothing bad could happen.
All right.
Back, oh well. Let's do it. I'm game.
Very well. Elias, as you begin to make your way through the ship, obviously not going in the same direction as the bridge at this time, as you are simply, sort of walking off to kind of cool your jets, you find your way towards the tech center where they would obviously use to maintain and build their various mining equipment. This door is actually wide open, allowing you access into the area. You see various tables that are filled with these random bits of machinery and tools and items. You sort of, this is kind of what you see on the interior of this the tech shop.
I didn't know. He just casually throws it out there. Of course he would. I bet he just did it to get back at me. Well, but really, I probably deserved it. Where am I? I'll look around.
All right, roll a perception check as you begin to search the area.
13.
With a 13, all of this stuff looks like technical jargon, mumbo-jumbo-y type of stuff that probably Dolly would be interested in. But as for you, it's meh. It's stuff that is loitering. You do, however, take notice of one particularly interesting thing, and that is, of course, some sort of capsule that seems to have a small but steady heartbeat appearing on a monitor nearby.
All right. That's interesting.
Sorry.
I'll take a look. Still quiet?
Yep. Sorry, am I too quiet on this one?
No,
you're fine.
Oh, okay. Oh, is Josh quiet or me quiet?
Yeah.
Oh, God damn it. Because I was having this problem the other day as well. And I thought I'd turned it off. And I'm like, oh, right.
Well then, before I go kill myself, I just want to make sure everyone hears me clearly for it. Where would I go and check that?
All right, so you make your way over to the wall, and you can see the device, which stands quite a few feet above your height. Looking at it, it is the only thing that currently has power in this area. It has a blocked out screen that seems to only say Subject Venture 04.
Okay. Heartbeat pod, subject venture 4. Okay. Oh, that's interesting. I'm a curious fool. I'll take a look at it a little bit more.
Okay. Well, you don't really discern much more than there's probably some form of life form in it. That this is some sort of life support or stasis system, and that it has been closed for a fair while, a couple of weeks maybe.
Okay. I'm going to make note of this, and then I'm going to come back, and we're going to take a look at this, and then I'm going to turn around, and I'm going to go back to Deliag.
All right.
As I realize I am alone with this very creepy thing.
Very well. Elias returns to where Doliag is, where Doliag appears to be doing a happy little dance. As Elias walks in, Elias can make me a perception check.
Alrighty. That's another 24.
Oh, good. You notice that Trax is nowhere to be seen.
Oh, no one was holding on to him.
Where the fuck is Trax?
Who?
Trax!
Oh, that one goblin guy. Yeah.
All right.
I thought he was with you.
Captain.
Yes, Mr. Keane.
Trax has either been snatched or he's buggered off. And I've also found something interesting at the technician's department. It looks like a pod that's pulsing with a heartbeat.
Yes. Let's get back to the fact that Mr. Trax is missing. What do you mean? Where is he?
You know, that's the funny thing about missing. I don't know.
All right. As this conversation continues, the power now reaches and surges through the ship, and the door to the bridge opens as it is detecting you guys standing outside of it.
Well done, Mr. Zagutu. Mr. Fell, can you immediately scan for Mr. Trax? Let's find out where he is.
Aye, Captain.
And
I'll
once
do
we
a full
found
ship
him,
scan.
or even with someone who's more competent to keep him.
We'll see how that goes.
All right. As you enter the bridge, you see what appears to be, at first glimpse, a pristine and well-kept vessel. A little bit of dust, but otherwise rather unmolested. There's no upturned tables, there's no broken screens, there's no like giant bloody handprint on one of the windows. Typical.
Yeah.
It's none of that stuff.
Nothing crazy.
Oh, but the vents do have these spaghetti-like white tendrils that seem to be pouring out and crawling like these vines down the sides of these air vents that trickle to the ground. Apart from that, everything looks fine. Everything looks perfectly ordinary. Nothing to concern yourself with. Except the death lines.
Yeah, and except for the death lines. Are any of the death lines going in a particular direction or a place?
It looks like they have infested the ventilation system, and it appears as though they are pouring out of the vents due to their mass. They don't seem to be growing or spreading from where they currently are. They are of varying lengths, so you've got some vents that, barely breach and, sort of push out the vent. Others that are really long and have sort of reached all the way to the ground. But they seem to have stopped, I suppose, spreading at the currently.
All right. I look for the best point of interaction to go to the ship's computer.
Very well. You find your way to the central hub. Sitting down there, you kind of feel the cold of the steel as you place yourself on the chair, and you begin to use the systems. Now, first of all, you need to make a computing check to access it.
Okay.
If you get a high enough check, you will go from having generic use to actually having core use, which will allow you to access all systems and not just what's available on the bridge.
Well, one of the disappointments is I am not trained in that, so here we
Good
go.
luck.
It's 12?
All right, well, a 12 will give you some basic control. So you'll be able to access the data files, you'll be able to access the piloting system, and that is about it.
Okay. Captain, we have some basic controls over the ship. I'm going to try and see what I can do.
Thank you, Mr. Fell. Right, Mr. Zagutu, can you start to run an analytics or diagnostics on this ship? Let's just see how space-worthy she actually is. I know getting her out is going to be a problem, but perhaps we can work a way around that. In the meantime, Mr. Keene, would you please try and find Trax? I don't like the idea of someone who's very familiar with the ship wandering around on board it. And what did you mean when you said you found some lifebeat thing in the cargo containers? Have you been poking around where you shouldn't be?
Well, I'm not going to answer that with a response, but I will go look for him. And yes, I did find exactly that weird thing, and it's pulsing like a heart, and it's big.
In the engineering bay?
Technical bay, actually.
That's strange.
That is very strange. Mr. Fell, how long do you think it's going to be before you get complete control over this ship?
Let me do a check.
Well, think of it this way. From your current panel and with your current computing check, you can access all the stuff you would imagine you could access from the bridge. You can, however, take a very short walk to the other section of the bridge and get access to the weapon systems. You can also take another short walk to get access to the security panels. You can then take another short walk to access, and so on and so forth.
Okay.
Basically, it's just you would basically be doing the job of what the crew would be doing, just one at a time.
Okay. Well, Captain, the first thing I'll do is I'll go to the first bait that I can to figure out life signs, and we'll go from there.
All right, you do that. I will go down to this technical bay to see what Mr. Keene found and make sure that it doesn't pose a problem to us. I would have that as an issue. Mr. Zagutu, was that you hailing us on the comms?
That was. Absolutely.
Working on it right now.
Mr. Zagutu, hail. As you receive Mr. Zagutu's message, you can hear the sounds of static that seems to be interfering with your communications devices. At least yours to Zagutu's.
Mr. Keen, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Please, can you get to engineering? We seem to have suddenly discovered some static in that chamber. It seems very odd. I was talking to him just a moment ago, and now it's started to develop. I wonder if that is our little goblin friend.
Got it. I go there.
All right. Now back in engineering, Dolyug, and yeah, you sort of hear just the static coming through, but the last thing you heard is to run a diagnostics, which you can see, the areas that you'd be able to do that. However, entering the room at this time is what appears to be an android. It is a regular sort of elven kind of looking android. So it's got like kind of the sort of translucent skin that androids usually have with the nanite veins that seem to run through it, giving it the very clear and distinct markings of an android. You do notice one peculiarity, however, and that is that he is missing a hand. As he sees you, he says, "You are not authorized to be here."
Yes, I am.
No, you are not part of the ship's manifest, and I would know. I wrote it.
It's Gary. Gary, he put me on the manifest. Captain, hurry.
I'm afraid I cannot let you access this area. You are going to have to come with me. And he reaches forward with his hand. As he does so, Elias, you come around the corner and you can see the android standing before Dolyug.
Sorry, Dolyug. Listen, I'm going to be straight. I have a little bit of issues with my brother. And I'll whip out my knife and dagger, and I'm going to run at this thing.
All right, roll initiative. This includes the general people on the bridge.
That one.
Ha! Natural one as well.
Brother save.
Yeah, brother.
20.
Okay, 24.
Our tragic backstory struck at the same time.
Yes. Bastia.
As true brothers should.
All right, Dolyug.
10. Right in the middle.
Dolyug. And what was the actual score for the two of you?
Slip into the middle.
Elias?
My actual score was
I'm 4.
4 and 3. Okay. 3, 4.
Sorry, 5.
5.
It doesn't matter.
No. All right, the android gets to go first as you basically move to attack him with his one hand. You basically watch as his fingertips seem to unravel. And as they do so, they turn into this thick spray of white fungus that sprays out and attempts to ensnare Elias.
Oh.
That is a 14 on your... Sorry, no, not 14. 17 on your KAC.
Why couldn't it be in a 14? Yes, that hits.
All right, as the spray basically just erupts in like this very, very conical web, it just gnashes and lashes over you. You are now entangled and have the... and you now have that as a condition. You are also now anchored to the spot. Could I get you to make a fortitude save, please?
That'll be a 7.
That's okay. You are also you are also
I'm really good at these.
yeah, you are also sickened as the web does not appear to be just a sticky web, but the webs begin to crawl up your flesh and begin to make their way around and through and up towards your head. The sensation is literally like 1,000 worms digging their way over your skin.
Yeah, that's sick. Yeah,
This is why.
Yep.
This is why you never leave a ship.
Okay. How does Elias respond to this as he's basically covered in this?
He's been in a lot of tight situations, so his measured response is as he just unloads on the gun.
Okay, Dolyug, how do you respond to this?
It's the guy. That's his hand. Get him.
Okay, get him! And meanwhile, he's like,
shoot him now.
Okay. All right, as we go to Bastion. Now, Bastion, you can hear the sounds of Elias's screaming coming over the comms as the static then begins to engulf his transmission.
I am going over to. I'm guessing at the life computers, wherever I'm at, has the ability.
You're at the internal. You are at the internal sensor array.
Okay. Is there a bay nearby where I can shout into the comms of the whole entire spaceship that under command of Captain Ulef? Is that his name?
Under the command of Captain Olef Nedeloren.
Nedeloren. Okay. Under command of Captain Ulef Nedeloren, that there are guests among board that haven't been what's it called? Signed in yet?
he's saying this over the comms. What's it called?
Is that a thing? Is that? I'm just saying to the.
Are you buying this? Whoever you are.
Is this a bluff check? I don't know what this is right now.
No, that's perfectly fine. I will allow you to roll a diplomacy check on this particular moment.
Wonderful, because I can do diplomacy. 22.
Very well. With a 22, both Elias and Dolyug see that there's this kind of look about the androids. Now, androids, just to kind of give you guys a bit of insight, androids have always had kind of like a almost nearly expressionless and semi-vacant kind of look about them. It's very hard to read their emotions and their thoughts, but you can kind of tell he's sort of gone from looking at you guys to looking off into the distance. Like he's not even looking at the comms. He's looking probably in the direction the bridge is, and that's where his gaze is currently affixed. As we return to Dolyug. Before you can see obviously Elias is entangled, and this guy still has his hand out with like little bits of the sort of fungus sort of growing out of his fingertips.
How attentively is he looking at me?
He is not looking at you at all. Like he is, like I said, just in his own little space.
He's drifted off into his own ether.
Can I get Elias out of the stickies?
Yeah, you can make a strength check to try and rip it off him.
Yeah, that's you know what? I'm gonna ruin this piece if we had it. I'm gonna shoot the robot. I'm gonna get as close as I can.
All right, you walk up like you want to walk up right next to him.
A little farther away, just in case, like arms reach, kind of just like a.
All right, so Dolyug in his head imagines himself walking right up to the guy, sunglasses on, shoots him in the back, and then says, "Give me one cool line from Dolyug." Excellent. And then he shoots the android in the head, and then walks away as the android explodes. And Dolyug's in his head going, "Yeah." And he then takes a couple steps back as he gets ready to shoot.
My attack, right? Yeah. 17.
All right, a 17 will wing this guy. Roll your damage as your laser blast hits him in the shoulder.
That would be a 6.
All right, he takes 6 points of damage from your blaster.
My little pistol.
Azimuth laser pistol?
Auto pistol.
Auto pistol. Oh, so a spray of bullets. All right. As it shoots him in the shoulder, you notice something very peculiar, and that is he doesn't bleed. Like, at all. Like, there is no blood that flows from the wounds. The holes appear, and it's definitely done damage. Like, it's not like it hit the armor or anything. But but no blood seems to come from the wounds.
Did the hand bleed?
No.
The hand didn't bleed. Right? Yeah, okay. All right. This is normal to me. It's machinery.
Oh,
It's
no.
the fun one.
Oh, sorry. Yes, general knowledge, you would be very aware that androids are synthetic humanoids, and as such, they do have vital fluids that leak out of them when they are struck, shot, chopped, bludgeoned, maimed.
So it looks more like an oil or like
I'm gonna be dumb for today and just
mud.
like, hey,
No.
yeah.
For those of you familiar with the Weyland Yutani synths, then yeah, it's kind of like that. You know, like the big fluorescent white. I say fluorescent. I don't know what's white. You know, just
Yeah.
Another step back. That's it.
very well. Takes another step back. Like, yeah, let that be a lesson.
As
Okay,
you slowly go away.
Elias, you're in a sticky situation, aren't you?
Yeah. I'm handling it really well. It's going good. It's very warm and comforting, and I'm gonna shoot it.
All right, make your attack.
Alrighty, that'll. What does second do?
Sicken is a -2 penalty on your
Awesome.
on your attacks.
17 then.
17. Okay.
It's,
All right.
it's very aggressive, like not coming out of his throat. It's,
Like, I don't want this. It's too late now.
All right, there's another -2 from you being entangled, so it's -4 in total, which brings it down to 15.
Alrighty.
uh,
15
which,
then.
which sadly does not hit.
No, I have a +0 right now.
Oh.
Can I try? All right, can I do anything else to try to get out of this thing?
Not in this turn. If you, oh wait, hang on. No, you cannot.
Okay. I'm not doing too well. That's my turn.
Yep. As you sort of turn to try and shoot, the problem is that it sort of like keeps pulling you back, like kind of like a bed spring. And so as you sort of reach out, it sort of pulls your hand. So you're trying to aim, and then it's just shooting off to the side as you get stuck back to your.
I'm really good at strength checks.
Mm.
No, I'm not.
All right. Then we go to Ulrich.
Well, since I was about to leave the bridge anyway for this technical thing, we haven't heard any signs or sounds of battle, have we?
You have not.
No.
Oh,
All
wait,
right.
hang on. As soon as you leave the bridge, because you've gone from the active bridge, which is kind of noisy with the hum of the computers and stuff like that, but as soon as you leave and the door closes behind you, I'll say that you can hear, amongst the dull sounds of the ship's basic function, the blast that Elias had made. So you hear that lone...
Mr. Keen, Mr. Daliag, what's going on? And Mr. Zagutu?
It's eating my leg!
Oh my God! All right, so I'm going to rush. I'm going to run as fast as I can to engineering. Mr. Fell, if you can get sensors on an engineering, I believe they're under attack of some kind. Either that or they're doing what they're normally doing and they're shampooing and shaving each other again.
All right. As you begin to run, like literally like a bat out of hell, you move down the corridor, left at this point, right at that point, down the flight of stairs. As you head down the flight of stairs, you see near the medical door, as you're sort of running past it, which, you feel free to interact with it how you will, you see a very familiar goblin who has unloaded a panel and has a couple of wires plugged into a small computer device. He sort of sees you. You sort of see him.
I shoot him.
Ah! All right, make your attack.
Fuck.
He
Yes,
should have known
hey,
this was coming.
And now he's trying to get inside a panel, so that's a pretty good roll, actually. So with that, we're looking at a grand total of 19 to hit.
Oh, yeah, that'll definitely hit.
All right. And that's grand total of 4 damage. Ooh.
Ooh, all right, the goblin bounces. Like with the sound of a squeaky toy as you strike him with your blaster. He basically ricochets off the ground into the wall nearby. As he does so, he sort of, come on, mate. There's no need for that.
This is our ship now. You will take our orders. No one ordered you to try and break in there.
You don't understand. She needs me. Oh, God. I'm going to keep
I'll
doing
be
this
back
until
for you. And then I carry on running to engineering.
He looks at himself slowly bleeding out. He's like, I'm not bloody going anywhere, am I? Son of a... all right. As Ulrich begins to book it like a bat out of hell towards engineering. Meanwhile, the android now gets its turn as it leaves Elias and Doliag, making its way up towards the bridge. Along the way, Ulrich, you see approaching you an android with a severed hand, several bullet wounds in its shoulder, and it looks to you with these cold, calculating eyes and says, "You are not authorized to be here."
Shut up. Bang.
Well, he will actually provoke an attack from where you are, as you will have enough expenditure to fire at him. Make your attack as you shoot him in the face.
Natural 20.
Yeah, damn. All right. As with Starfinder, there is no confirming critical hits. So roll double damage. And just for the fun of it, I'm going to see what happens.
I get stunned. That's the condition for the weapon.
Yeah. So he will be stunned for a round, which means he will not be able to act.
It's pretty normal.
5 damage.
5 damage. All right. A bolt of lightning flies as a pulse from your blaster as it arcs across and strikes him in the face. As it does so, he leans backwards. You see smoke kind of sizzling from the wound in his forehead. You have literally nailed the shot right between his eyes. As he looks up, his eyes seem to have rolled into the back of his head, and there now appears to be this giant hole in his forehead, seared with the burnt edges from your attack. And again, no blood. You actually see inside thousands of these writhing fungal tentacles that seem to be almost trying to stitch up the hole as it's appeared.
I call out, Doliag, Elias, are you there? Are you all right?
Elias, Elias, could you also make me a fortitude save as you try to reach for your comms, which for you and Doliag are now functional? 4. Oh, that's not great. Doliag?
I swear I'm good at these checks. I'm just rolling that.
No, you don't need to make a fort save. Like, do you want to say anything to the?
Oh yeah. Don't swallow.
Well, funny that he says that because they quite literally make their way into your throat, and you take. Oh no!
I'm just a punching bag for life. It's okay.
Ooh, okay. You take 2 points of intelligence damage.
Oh, well, okay. Well, I have intelligence to spare, so.
Yeah.
Oh, we should have done that.
All right. As they begin to make their way inside you, you're still entangled, you're still sickened, and they're basically wriggling around inside you at the moment. Gross. All right. As you try to respond, Doliag, Ulrich, your comms begin to crackle.
Well, I know what it's doing.
All right. We then go to the next on the initiative, which is, I believe, Master Bastion.
Well, since I see this all happening on the map, is there anything else I can distinguish seeing all these life signs now?
Well, you've discerned that. Elias and Doliag are in the engineering room. Elias appears to have an accelerated heart rate. He's really kind of under a lot of stress.
Okay.
Dahlia doesn't seem to be under any kind of particular stress. You're getting one other life sign from the corridor linking the med bay and the engineering room, where you're pretty sure that that's Ulrich, and he again is also quite accelerated from the adrenaline. You also see a fading life sign coming from outside med bay, which you believe is probably Trax. And you can see life signs that appear to be it's hard to describe. Like, they come up more like an error than anything else, because your entire ship's ventilation systems appear to be reading like a life sign.
Oh boy.
I will. So I'm guessing there's a fair amount of CO2 or way to deprive oxygen from this space, correct? From the ventilation
yes.
systems?
Yep, you would be able to do that from a different panel, which again, short walk, but you can do it. You would be able to do one of three things. Either A, you would be able to release the atmosphere from inside the vents to the outside, basically flushing them. The second thing you could do is simply seal them off, which prevents them from coming into the ship or out of the ship. Or you could change the direction so it can only come in or it can only go out. The third thing you can also possibly do is basically surge it or overload it with very strong liquid oxygen. By doing that, it basically just flushes it, if that makes sense, through the system.
I'm going to go with option number 3.
Okay, please make me a computing check as you begin to try and, basically increase the oxygen levels and flush the ventilation system.
It's gonna be an 11.
11's fine. Like I said, you with your first check having given you access to all of the stuff, it's very easy for you to manage it. So, yep, with little difficulty, you end up getting control of the ventilation systems, and in turn, you basically hear the sounds of the liquid oxygen being flushed through the vents. Now,
as this is happening, can I yell out to the group, "Helmets on"? Just as a quick thing. I don't know if that's going to be able to help anyone besides our captain and Dolly. I don't know if it was off or not.
No. Well, okay. Well, the way that helmets work is that there is an automatic safe. So basically, it'll just appear like a guard around you. But that is what people would say when they're about to say something bad is going to happen, and the environment around you may not be very safe in a second. Which is very true, as your cooling system freezes the oxygen and then flushes it straight through. You hear the sounds of something rumbling in the vents. Everyone then witnesses as basically this powder, this white powder, just begins to pour into the ship and basically become like kind of almost like silty snow as it kicks up, and it is very, very cold, very, very quickly. As you sort of play around with it in your fingertips, you notice it has kind of like a brittle consistency. And in fact, the creature who rolls a natural 1, because of course he rolls a natural 1, the creature who has the tendrils sort of growing in its head wound, the tendrils stop, and they seem to become rigid, as does the android.
Question.
Yes.
Did I just get tar and feathered?
No, not quite. The sticky goo, the vines that sort of try to crawl into you, the ones on the exterior of your body suddenly and very quickly freeze and break into tiny pieces. Like, it becomes just brittle. The ones in your mouth, however, are protected by your suit's thermal protectors. So you will need to keep making me fortitude saves until you succeed, or someone comes and helps you. In the meantime, we'll drop out of initiative. So this will happen in a minute-by-minute thing, and we're going to go through just what everyone is doing as they witness this powder flowing into the ship. So let's start with Captain Ulrich.
Mr. Fell, Mr. Zaguta, whatever you did, this alien creature seems to have stopped dead in its tracks. At least I hope that's you. Flushing the system with some white powder of some kind. Can anyone hear me? Are my comms working yet?
His comms are indeed absolutely working, and the white powder is a mystery. As far as you are aware, liquid O2, it comes in kind of like this translucent blue liquid. Very, very, it should not be a powder, basically, and end of story.
Well, I don't know what he flushed the system with. So as I'm saying that, I'm going to step around the creature.
Mm-hmm. It doesn't seem to move.
Continue on my way to engineering.
Very well. At engineering, you find Elias and Doliag.
I'm gonna try to get these fucking things in my mouth.
I'm gonna help him. Finger down the mouth.
All right, they appear to be trying to dig out something from in Elias's mouth as you approach this rather bizarre scene. If you can imagine, Elias is a human, so he's standing up perfectly upright, while Master Doliag has both feet planted on his chest and has basically reached in with
all four arms,
with basically all four arms, as he's trying to basically yank something out of his mouth.
What the hell is going on? Oh my god!
I'm certified for this. Come on.
We need to get him to the medical bay straight away, Mr. Zagutu. Let's come on, Eric.
I'm gonna still keep trying to do it. I'm gonna plant myself onto him.
Okay.
Mr. Fell, please see if you can get the medical bay doors open. We have a medical emergency.
Aye, Captain.
Very well. Make a computing check as you attempt to do that. As they drag Elias to the med bay, Elias, can I get you to make a fort save? Doliag, what are you doing as they're trying to get
on top of him, just still trying to help him out?
All right. So while Ulrich has sort of grabbed him by both arms and is sort of backwards dragging him through the corridor, on his chest is Doliag still trying, frantically pulling out these clumps of weed from its mouth. Bastian?
My computer check was going to be 13.
13. Sadly, that is not enough to breach the quarantine just yet.
Okay.
So, it just doesn't quite do it. As you arrive back at the med bay, you see the goblin is basically labored breathing, like he's stable, but he's not very happy.
About it.
Yeah.
I point the gun at the goblin. Open that door.
Are you bloody kidding me right now?
I will
You just shot me for opening the door. Now you're shooting me
because no one told you to open the door, and that's not how a crew works. Now, open this door. He's dying.
Sort of the goblin sort of when you sort of threaten him, the goblin seems to just look kind of angrily at you, but he seems to show a modicum of concern when you point at your brother who is injured. He then sort of stands up and sort of cradling his wound, walks over to the med bay and opens it. As he does so, it takes like a couple of seconds as he sort of works on the computer, and because he was already most of the way through the process. As it does, you hear the maglocks disengage and the door slide open. As it does, on the inside of the med bay, you can see that it is very well kept. And there appears to be, on one of the slabs, a woman that has these pipes that have basically been dug into her flesh at various points. She appears to be in a stasis field, which is a field of energy that seems to keep a stasis gas circulating around her. As he sort of walks in, the goblin sort of goes straight to her, but there is another medical bay right next to it. that you can use to try and treat Elias.
Mr. Fell, you're a doctor, aren't you? You've got some medical training.
Aye, Captain.
Would you please join us in the medical bay as fast as you can?
Understood.
Have you got those things out of his mouth yet?
Working on it.
All right. So, what was the fort save from you, Elias? Can't hear. 6? Oh, God. All right. You take another 4 points of intelligence damage.
All right, we're starting to drop below the graduation limit right now. Still doing okay.
All right. More aggressively, the vines seem to be basically choking him. His eyes are sort of getting a little bit more glazed over as this vine is slowly making its way in through his system. Bastian.
I see everybody around me.
Yeah.
Yep. Well, everyone but Bastian will arrive in a moment.
All right.
Joking.
I have a question, Mr. GM.
Mm-hmm.
I have an ability called Inspiring Boost. He's not taking stamina damage, so I can't restore anything, right? With that Inspiring Boost, it's a leadership action that I can make an ally regain stamina points, but none of that will help here. He's psychologically being affected.
Correct. It's the difference between someone running out of stamina during a battle or as opposed to someone literally having their brain eaten out by worms.
Right. All right.
So yeah, that kind of works that way. All right, Bastian arrives as Elias is still like coughing and spluttering. Bastian first of all does what he does and pulls out all the stuff that he was taught, like for his basic training.
Basic med training. I see what's on the kits. I see what's around me, and I pull the closest tools possible to get whatever is going down his throat.
Well, apparently, I am going to try and remove one of his wisdom teeth. All right, let's do this.
All right, this is what I got.
What the hell is... Oh, no. All right, so please make me a medicine check as you attempt to treat him.
It's not bad at all. It's going to be a 16.
Ooh,
It's
with
not
a 16?
terrible.
You absolutely nail it. As you realize the best way to actually deal with this, as the creature inside him is quite clearly a living organism, as you have determined, is to take the stasis gas and feed it into his respiratory system. Now, what this means is that you will need to manually operate his breathing with the assistance of Ulrich and Doliug, while the creature is pacified and you perform a very minor surgery, an non-invasive surgery, to try and remove the vines from within the stasis field.
Understood. Captain, I'm going to need you to hold on to this system right here. It's going to keep your brother alive and breathing. Doliug, I need you to follow me and assist me with any tools that I need in this moment. All right, let's go through this.
All right. So first and foremost, to keep the respiratory rate going, I need one of the two of you to make dexterity checks for Doliug and Ulrich. And I need the other to make a medicine check.
Not natural 20 for the dexterity check.
So Doliug for the medicine check.
21.
21. All right. So between the two of you, and
Go
Bastian,
team.
They love me.
yeah,
I am a
Bastian,
doctor.
with Bastian's insight and the two of you coordinating well, his respiratory system and blood flow are flowing naturally as Bastian makes his medicine check to stick the probe down deep enough.
To take it out, take out the system. I'm literally just grabbing at it. This tool is just taking out the weeds as long as I go farther down, and I'm checking if there's anything else that would be in its way.
All right, make a medicine check if you would.
Okay, while he's doing that, I want to talk to Elias.
26.
Oof. All right, so he's as he's sort of as he's placing this tube down his throat, Ulrich, you may speak to Elias.
All right, listen here. You are not to give up or to die. I'm not done yet with you. Yes, I'm angry over what you did. Yes, I've had to save your skin I don't know how many times. But at least it's your skin and I get to save it. So you're going to stay here, you hear me? That's an order, Mr. Keen. You will stay with us. You're not going to leave me. You are all that I have. Oh, God, he's got strength. Sedate him! Sedate him!
All right. As the sedative begins to pass through his system, you feel the grip on his arm slowly weaken.
It's a good sign. It's a good sign, Captain. I promise. I swear.
His will to live. He has it.
All right. Could I get another fortitude save from Elias, please?
16.
All right. With a 16, the worms are being resisted as you sort of pull, as they're sort of getting pulled out. I need another fortitude save from Elias as the operation is undergone.
18.
With an 18, your heart beats strong, your respiratory system is working well. Bastian pulls out more of these chunks of weed. It literally looks like there is enough here to make a salad for an entire crew of 50 people. That is how much he is just pulling out.
So
creating a swamp
as
monster.
my brother talks to me, I go to a place I've been once before. And I hold onto a memory of holding onto a hand, slightly sharp fingers. And then I come back out, I not dying, and I pull everything that a person can and past that, and pull myself together.
Okay, very well. Let's roll a Constitution check at this point. Just a flat Constitution check.
16.
With a 16, you sort of rally yourself forward. You with one final pull, and Bastian with one final wrench removes the last of the vines.
I'm not dying. I'm not dying. And I try to get up, and I almost fall off the table.
As you do so, the doctor basically quickly grabs you. Or should. Sorry, let me rephrase. I apologize. I don't mean to be taking control of characters. The doctor should grab you, as his body and respiratory and organs are currently being kept intact by Ulrich and Doliag. And should he move off this table at this point, all of those would cease to function.
Doctor,
If you move,
I'm not
no.
I'm
If
not
you move,
dying.
you will die. No, stop moving. Just give me a fucking second. Just hold, Elias. Hold.
Elias, can you make me a strength check, please?
11.
11. Could the rest of the table, if you wish to, you may make a strength check to oppose and try to pin him to the table, as apparently he's struggling to receive his treatment.
10 from me.
10? Doliag?
8.
8? Basti?
It's gonna be a 10 also.
All right.
Fine.
Well,
I'm not a strong man.
all right. Well, if you want to, you may attempt to diplomatize the goblin who appears to be distracted with other things to helping you.
Drax, if you want to make sure she gets off this ship safely, you're gonna help me keep this stupid idiot on a table.
It's
Roll
a double
diplomacy.
positive. It's double negative, but I always love the
17.
Where was that when you needed the strength roll? All right.
I know.
All right.
Look, I'm good with
Doliag
words.
All right. Doliag comes in and takes out a big wrench and basically wraps it around his neck and just leans backwards and uses his whole weight to basically pin him to the table. Now at this point, I need another dexterity check from Ulrich. I need another medicine check from Doliag, and I need a perception check from Bastian. Because Bastian, what you need at this point is you need a stim to basically counteract the sedative that's going through his organs, so that his body can function on its own.
Okay.
18 for the dexterity check.
Oh, yep, you managed to keep wielding the machinery that's inflating his lungs and deflating it. You're doing it rhythmically, and it's able to manage to keep him stable. Doliag?
Stop moving, you idiot.
15 for the medicine check.
15 as well, despite his thrashing. You're also maintaining the machines that are allowing his blood to continue pumping while his heart is, staggered at the moment. Bastian.
17.
With a 17, you find the stim you're looking for very easily as you apply it to his neck, and his body begins to start taking control. The both of you who are controlling the operation itself, you can feel his body starting to function on its own, and you release your varying devices under Bastian's instruction. Elias, has been saved.
Woo!
Congratulations, everyone, and I would like everyone, including Elias, to earn a hero point for use in the adventure later on.
Oh, goodness. I don't know where to even put that, but all right.
Yeah, I will take
Just
that.
keep it somewhere.
Just keep it safe, yeah.
Keep it safe. All right. Exhausted, tired, and malnourished, Elias, you will restore the damage that you had taken from the worms that were digging into your head.
All right, G. That's good.
I have to take Sebastian aside. I need to have a conversation with Mr. Fell before Mr. Keen is allowed out of medical.
All right, Captain.
Are you taking Dolyug aside, or are you telling Dolyug to stay while you take Bastian aside?
No, I need to chat to sorry, I got confused. I need to chat to Fell, Mr. Fell. I need to speak to him.
Right.
Mr. Zagutu, would you please check on Mr. Trax to see what he was trying to do to that woman?
All right. Moving on, while Bastian and Ulrich, move to one side to go and have their discussion, Elias, you feel very drained. You're sort of listening at this point, but physically, you just feel like it's a good idea to stick on the table. Dolyug, moving over to Trax, you could see that he's sort of he's still injured and shot, but he seems to be ignoring his injuries. You see that the wound has kind of opened up again. There's a sort of like a more fresh blood on his side as he sort of closes it up.
What's going on here, Trax?
Nothing, mate. Little bleeding, slowly dying.
Yeah.
Apart from that, your captain's a piece of work, isn't he?
It comes and goes. It comes.
Does he
and
shoot
goes.
you often?
Who's this lady? I mean, occasionally it depends. Don't mess with the ship. That's all I'm saying. But
this is Olivia. She was one of the crew.
Oh, crew. Okay.
She was one of the crew. Where to begin? Things went so bad so quick. I kind of had a thing for her, So when I escaped, I asked if she'd come with me, and she said she would. But those things got her, And I did what I knew, all I knew. I threw her in here, and I turned on the quarantine. Everyone was yelling. Everyone was so angry because it was a safe place, and they those things, those whatever they were coming out of the vents. They were just coming out everywhere, and I people wanted to be saved. They thought the same thing. They thought they could be saved in the med bay, but I'd locked it already. You see, she's fine, but I don't know. Did I do the right thing? Did I save the right person?
Yeah, it's up in the air for that. Yeah, you can sort it out later.
Well, you know what? I don't bloody care what you think, mate. All right.
I don't care what you think, mate. And
Truth. Yeah, right. He pulls out a knife, and he's like, "Hey.
Well, too, huh?
All right, and then he slowly stops. And he goes, "Oh, still dying."
Don't bother him too much. I just kind of look my head over, a little tired. I get it, but We got things we got to take care of. She's one of them.
No, she's not. I can tell you that much. We got her here before that. Before all of it.
We got to get her off the rock.
I'm glad you're telling me. I was the one that told you we needed to go off this bloody rock. You're the ones who got me from the middle of space and brought me back here.
I just pat him on the face. We got things we got to do.
He sort of grumbles and he sort of nods. You're right. All right. Meanwhile, outside the medbay, behind closed doors, Bastion, can you make me a perception check as you sort of wash your hands of the gloopy gunk that you've basically pulled out of Elias?
Okay. That's going to be a 12.
Ooh. You find a small black microchip embedded. Well, sorry, not embedded, more entangled in the vines. It bears a very strange marking, and you can make me a culture check to try and identify it.
Okay, culture is going to be 25.
With a 25, it is a symbol that you haven't seen in ages. Not since the fall of Braxia.
Okay.
It is a symbol of the Graith Empire. The Graith, for those of you who in the audience are unaware of what the Graith are, the Graith are a rather utilitarian race of anthropomorphic, canine creatures. They are very pragmatic. They believe that their empire is the strongest empire that ever existed. They are very xenophobic and do not like other cultures, other races, other things. They are considered to be one of the nastiest groups in terms of the cultures, because they are all about trying to prove that their empire, their race, their technology, everything about them is far and by superior to anything else, and are willing to eradicate any who oppose this ideal.
They are vicious to the highest extent possible.
Mm.
Okay. Mr. Fell, now, a conversation that we need to have.
Yes, Captain.
This creature that infected my brother. Are we sure that it's been removed from him? Every last shred of it.
I'm extremely sure. Only because if it was still inside your brother's system, he wouldn't be alive. So
and you don't think there's any risk that it's gone dormant? It's not going to wake up when we get back to the Braxian fleet.
Well, if it was going to do anything else besides attack us, it would have done so when I was taking it out of your brother. And luckily that did not happen. I don't know what this mist was, or this sort of powder that destroyed this thing, but currently it's the only thing that's helping us. It is, well, I made it happen, but this is not how liquid oxygen interacts with this sort of space. So there's something inside this system, or inside this spaceship, that has nullified this creature somehow. And there's something else.
You were releasing oxygen tanks.
Yes, I was going to over-oxygenize it and hopefully pretty much make it explode by giving it too much of something that it wants. It was inside a deprived space for such a long time that I was hoping that too much of it would kill it. Instead, whatever this powder is the thing that persisted.
All right. Enough of all of this. We need to get some groundwork going on here. You believe my brother is absolutely 100% safe?
Well, the thing is, too, the stem pack that I gave your brother, it would have initiated any sort of thing in his system also. So if it was still active, it would have gotten worse. So for
Right.
now, we're safe. Your brother's safe. There's something else I need to tell you, though. As it seems, this isn't purely just coincidence that this thing is here. It was brought here. Or created here in some sort of fashion by... Could you say the thing again, GM?
The Graith.
The Graith. The Graith have brought it along. This is their work. And I give him the chip.
This is great technology. All these tendrils are great in design.
It's familiar from their work, but I don't know where it came from. I don't know how long it's been here.
Sorry, just a bit of an addendum there. The microchip, 100% is Graith in design. It's very efficient, very streamlined, but the worms, the biological or the biotechnology, does not seem to bode in the same style as a lot of the Graith technologies as they were understood. They were more like the height of science and technology rather than sort of genealogy and biosciences.
Okay, so at some point they were doing some sort of research here, and this thing took over.
Perhaps
would be my perception of it.
Yeah, well, many theories could exist, but what you would know is this kind of level of biotech, probably not Graith, but the chip being inside of Elias and pulled out with the weeds and stuff like that could mean a whole bunch of different things or implications. It could be as simple as a control collar on an animal, and or something like that. But the creature itself, you don't get that vibe.
Okay, all right. Then I'll change that. Roll it back a bit. There's something strange that I found inside your brother. And it was this chip. It's Graith technology.
You found Graith technology inside my brother.
I don't know what reasoning your brother would have to be associated with the Graith.
Have you met him?
I don't know why they would want to try and control him like this.
Oh, I have. I storm into the medical bay and over to my brother and grab his shirt and just pull him up. What are you doing with the Graith?
He's still a bit limp.
Did your ex-wife ever tell you she got mixed signals? Because I'm really feeling it right now.
I punch him. Ow! 14 to hit.
Yeah, given that he's currently semi-paralyzed, yeah, that'll probably hit. You see at this point that Trax basically looks at Doliag and goes...
They're doing their thing. What do we do?
I'm going to have to inquire as to the methodology and the motive of your inquiry. I said inquire twice.
Fell find a great chip in your body. What are you doing with the Graith?
What's on this chip?
I don't know, but I can tell you my story with the Graith.
Go on.
All right, so the truth is,
Hold up.
I didn't.
At this point in time is where we are going to leave off today's episode. Thank you very much, guys, for joining us. If you wish to find out the very exciting history of one Elias Keane as he unveils it to his crew, join us next week. I'm devious. I don't need to be the only one to make cliffhangers. I can make my players do it. Thank you very much, guys, for joining us. If you love this show, then hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Leave in the chat what you think. We love hearing from you guys. Like, what's your favorite moments? What do you think should happen in the next episode? Because I love the idea of being able to throw things that players and the audience throws at me to be able to use against them. So thanks very much. We are going to be doing a very, very quick overview of the episode today. So if you stick around for that, then we'll see you in a second. Otherwise, till next time, guys, we will catch you then. All right, so covering today's episode, let us start, of course, with once again the Dice of Destiny, who will tell us who gets to tell us about their adventures today. And that is going to be number 3, which currently is Bastian. Bastian, how do we go today?
Gosh. It's been such a long time since we played. It's been about a month that I was so terrified to go back into character and not know anything that was going on.
Well, that was good, because that's pretty much felt like the mood of today. It's like, what the hell's going on?
Yeah, it worked out completely with the mystery. And I'm so curious of who this girl is who's entranced in this little machine, and what this weird creature that we're fighting against, and what Elias is doing with everything that I just pulled out of him and suddenly find a microchip in his body. Ugh, it's a good game. I'm excited.
Well, I'm glad. I'm having a lot of fun. I think Bastion's definitely on a bit of a roller coaster, and I loved how he did the whole guy in a chair thing, like partway through. There was like a bit where everyone's like in their own like little battle and stuff, and he's just like activating this ship system. I'm checking. I'm scanning this, and I mean,
I don't really have a choice.
Yeah, it works well. It works great, and I think it definitely favors your particular character's play style. All right. Well, next, Master Dolyug.
Hey.
Hey.
That was entertaining and quite worthwhile. I came up, we need to retcon what I said in my mind. I got a better one.
Oh, did you? All right. In your little,
yeah.
Your little John McClane moment.
Yeah.
Well, what would you have said? What would you have said?
Gotta hand it to you, robot.
No, that's
gone.
You know what? I personally I love Dolyug. Dolyug for me is the kind of character that reacts super well to things. You know what I mean? Like, some characters and some players are the types that sort of go up and they touch and they feel and they interact. And we'll get to Elias in a second. But there are other people. There are other people who when they react to stuff, create such a nice, visceral, emotive feel. Like, watching Elias get encapsulated. Oh my God, this happened. And then dealing with like the goblin, and like dealing with him. It takes a very special kind of play to be able to do that. So I actually quite enjoy that element of.
I'm from here, yeah.
Elias
is the punching bag of life, and I really think that it came to this. He really came into his role this session in the best kind of way. I am so glad I failed those fortitude checks. It brought us to a really great scene, which kudos on you for going with it in the way you did. That was really fun and really kind of gripping. I was like, oh gosh. That was a ton of fun for me to be constantly beaten up and fail at everything I did today.
Yeah, I get to figure out your backstory. All this mystery.
I rather like it. I think it's a nice backstory. But I won't tell anything more.
And in the background to that, I actually do know a lot about Elias's backstory, and I do know that he's been sitting on a razor's edge to try and sort of decide what to share, what to keep. So I'm actually very keen on this next upcoming episode as well. But the one thing I want to kind of leave on for Elias is a lot of people are very afraid to fail. And that's kind of one of the things that I love to like sort of bring up to people, is that sometimes like those moments where stuff bad happens to your character is some of the best narrative moments. Like the fact that the whole group kind of got together in order to try and, sort of do the surgery and bring him up, and even the panic that came from Ulrich, the oh no's coming from Dolyug as he's trying to rip the vines out by hand, and then Bastian sort of trying to keep it all together to make sure he stays safe. All of that coming together, none of that happens if everyone just succeeds. Everyone just makes natural 20s or always rolls high. You never get moments like that. So
And Elias has a very, very special relationship with death.
Mm.
And I'm glad I got to show a small part of it this session.
And there's that clawed hand that apparently he thought no one would notice because he slid that past. But there is that too. So yes, there's that. Ulrich.
Yeah, well, I think it's a lot of fun. I mean, we don't know what's going on here, and the more we dig deeper, the more we don't know what's going on. And I think it's a lot of fun. I think really poor old Mr. Fell kind of gets called to do everything. But at the same time, the one moment that just made me really, really smile was poor old Doliog. He's busy doing this, and he turns around, and the captain's like, right, now go and do that. And he kind of does that, and halfway through, he gets ordered to something else. It was just the way that you played the kind of, I'm not going that way anymore. Okay, I'm going, okay. You know, it's just kind of, it really feels like a washing machine of incompetence washing around competence type of thing, right? And I absolutely love it. And yes, the whole Elias thing, it's an interesting development, which when you look at it over the bulk of the season, right, that story's being unraveled slowly as we get there. Now things are coming to a head. So I think we're all very eager for the next sort of episode, because I think that there is a definite plan that is now going to happen. These weird tendril things are just too terrifying. But yes, well, we remain to be seen what happens in the next episode, I suppose.
Indeed. And yeah, no, well said, Guy. And from my perspective, I had a lot of fun, as I always do. But as Guy very astutely put it, we are coming to a head as we should be nearing the close of the Della Milani saga and embarking on more an awesome quest. So do definitely tune in next week for a riveting and exciting episode of the Starswift Chronicles. I have been Michael from Ask a Pathfinder, and till next time, guys, from us here at the Starswift crew, make sure that you keep your dice rolling and make sure your ideas stay mindworm free. Have a good one, guys.